The Information Commissioner has told Newsnight he wants an urgent meeting with the Department for Work and Pensions after it emerged the government wants to use private companies to collect personal data from the public to snoop out benefit fraud. David Cameron says £1.5 billion of savings can be made by rooting out the fraudsters, savings that are badly needed. But will this government really sacrifice our civil liberties to do so? Jackie Long reports.
Going about your business is no longer just your business. Every day, over and over again, we give away a little bit of information about who we are. But if we thought what we tell the banks or credit companies is just between us and them, well, the government want in on it too.
Work is something that is not only...
In Manchester today, David Cameron explained how he wanted to claw back some of the £1.5 billion lost on benefit fraud every year.
Using more modern and new methods to make sure we get to grips with benefit fraud, including using other companies and private sector companies and credit rating agencies and credit agencies to share information so we can go after those who are claiming illegally and fraudulently.
But who are the companies who will be paid to help, as the Prime Minister put it, go after benefit cheats? There are three major credit reference companies in the UK. Experian, Equifax and Call Credit, and they've been quietly going after them for years. All already have contracts with national and local government to help them tackle benefit fraud. But it's clear this government wants to go much further. This is Neil Munro from Equifax. So what exactly do they do for the government?
The government will be looking at our data to confirm or to deny facts that are being reported by the individual. So, for example, a single person's allowance claim, they will be using our data not to access the credit data, but to use the credit data as confirmation or not that somebody else may be living at that address, for example. We're part of the process here. That's the point people have to understand. We're not going around knocking on people's doors. What we're doing is helping provide an additional source of information to the government departments to make sure that they actually identify and contact the right people where there's obviously signs of wrong benefit payment or fraud.
So how much of what goes on behind closed doors can these credit companies get access to? Well, to assess credit ratings, they already look at utility bills, bank or car loans, or any credit applications, information from mobile phone companies or subscription TV services. And if people appear to be spending more than they earn on benefit, they can be identified as a fraud risk. There's no question that these companies are working absolutely within the law, but for some legal experts, there are still questions to answer.
Well, my concerns are about information accuracy, first and foremost. Credit reference agencies hold information about debt, for instance, and here we're talking about benefit fraud. So if the information is not accurate, people could be labelled as criminals when they're not. So that's clearly a problem. I think another problem is about security and confidentiality of information. The government has regularly outsourced its functions to the private sector, but sadly some parts of the private sector have proven themselves to be incapable of looking after data properly, or at least to the levels that government and the citizen would expect.
Rolling back some of the previous government's more restrictive policies on civil liberties has been one of the coalition's priorities. But this move has left some supporters confused. Alex Deane was David Cameron's chief of staff when he was Shadow Education Minister.
I find it a bit dispiriting, to be honest, because the Conservative Party pledged itself to reversing the rise of the surveillance state. In some areas, like getting innocent people's profiles off the DNA database, when that finally happens, they're achieving that sort of thing, or scrapping contact points, or getting rid of the ID card scheme. But in some areas, like the summary care record in the NHS, they're carrying on with Labour's plans, and worst of all, in areas like this one, they're going even further than Labour. Not even the last government proposed bounty hunters to try and catch out benefit cheats.
But how much is this big brother at work, or just basic maths? The government says it's saved taxpayers millions already. The man charged with protecting the privacy of individuals says it all depends on the detail. Establishing people's identity or where they live is fine.
If it gets beyond that and it starts being really intrusive and asking questions about people's spending habits rather than just whether they are who they say they are, then that's something that's got to be explored with the Information Commissioner, because I've got responsibilities under the Data Protection Act, and I'm not convinced from what I've heard, if this is an extension of what's already happening, that there aren't issues here that we need to explore. So I would like an urgent meeting with the Department of Work and Pensions to work out what is going on.
But while the Information Commissioner may hope to find out sooner, the rest of us may have to wait until the autumn for the official announcement.